Hey, I'm Paul Garcia. You're going to listen to an awesome conversation with me and Garrett Taylor. Garrett's still right here, actually. But just bear with me through the beginning of this episode. We cover some rough territory. It might be a little disturbing to some listeners, maybe, but just bear with me because this is a story that you are not going to want to miss. The whole thing's incredible. The ending is insane and extremely inspiring. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Garrett Taylor. Garrett Taylor, man, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. I'm excited to dive into your story. I think it's really fascinating because you went from, for lack of a better term, hellion, menace when you were a younger guy into, a family man, a really great guy now in a very short period of time, quicker, and you traveled further on that spectrum more so than anyone else I know, honestly, and quicker than anyone else I know. And before we get into, who you are now and the transition, of course, we got to go in chronological order. We got to start with where you came from. But before we dive into that really interesting part of your story, I want to say a quick thank you to a sponsor. Actually, I just want to tell the people something. Are you a sharp, charismatic, independent person living in central Illinois? Are you looking for an exciting job with flexible hours where you will hone your sales, communication, and marketing skills and only occasionally be asked to come to a physical location in Fairbury? Well then, listen up. Aftershock Decals and Design is a premier graphic design studio that's looking for a part-time salesperson. Garrett, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
To join the growing team. Whether you're a student looking for some valuable experience while pursuing your degree, or a stay-at-home mom who's craving some part-time work and extra income, or someone who's just sick and tired of working an 8-to-5 desk job, this position could be exactly what you're looking for. And on a personal note, I've worked with this team at Aftershock Decals and Design a number of times, and they're excellent, and there's a reason why they're adding to their team, because they make tons of great products, and they're growing every year. This is a fantastic opportunity to sharpen your sales chops and earn some serious dough. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go ahead and email your resume to kirk@aftershockdd.com or apply online at aftershockdd.com/jobs to begin what might be your dream career. Garrett, have you ever worked in sales before?
No, not necessarily.
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and jump into your story here. And as I said, I'd like to go in chronological order. And more than me, give a summary of the whole darn thing, maybe you can tell us like a little bit about where you come from and what your younger life was like.
Yeah, maybe first we'll just kind of get a quick overview or summary of the whole situation, my life.
You bet.
I guess my life's just full of me making a whole bunch of wrong decisions, going down a whole bunch of wrong roads, making a huge mess of my life, to the point where I found myself down in North Carolina, homeless, addicted to meth and heroin, in and out of jail and hospitals, overdosing like 6 times, and just totally lost, dude. Like, I just remember walking down some railroad tracks and just crying out for help to God, dude. And he came through with his grace and everything. And I started, it wasn't instantly, but eventually I started getting my life back together, started praying, and then met my wife. And ever since then, it's been great. But we'll dive into more details here in a minute. But yeah, it's been crazy, dude.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
So I told you I had a tough time doing my research on you and your story. I had no idea of all that. That kind of just stunned me.
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of craziness that went down, but we'll get to it.
Right. We will get to it. We've got all the time we need. Let's talk about then, where did this all start? Because typically someone who finds himself overdosing on heroin and meth, I mean, they come from somewhere at least very interesting. So maybe I could ask, what was your early childhood like? What was your upbringing?
So my upbringing, when I was a little kid, I was a pretty good kid, had a good family, was big into hunting and fishing and outdoors and everything. For the most part, a really good kid, all the way until I guess it was probably maybe around 8th grade. I started, falling into peer pressure, started kind of to I mean, it was my fault, of course, but kind of started smoking and drinking. And I guess it was probably the summer of 8th grade year. I was working for this like farmer kind of by my house. He had all sorts of exotic animals that I would like take care of and plant trees for him. And he was paying me like a lot of cash under the table. Like I was making like $800 a week when I was in 8th grade. And what's an 8th grader going to do with that much cash when his parents don't really know about it? Well, I was like buying weed and doing all sorts of bad stuff with it, I guess that's when it really started, when like I really started going off track, because like I said, when I was younger, I was doing pretty good, big into sports, grades were pretty good, but then it just kind of started veering off. So,
And for people that don't know most people that watch us, maybe not actually. Some people will know you're from Prairie Central, Fairbury, Prairie Central, and I was the grade below you actually, and so I was right next to you while you're going through this stuff. Not right next to you, we weren't really friends at all, but I can remember in like 6th and 7th grade, even 8th grade. I mean, phenomenal athlete, but you're saying that's when this transition for the worst kind of occurred.
Right. Yeah. I guess. So I was decent in football. And that might have kind of been a downfall because, like, I started hanging out with older people. Like I was playing some higher up levels of football when I was younger, so I like made friends with the older people, and they were, of course, into partying and stuff. So I started doing the same thing, but
Now, 8th grade. A lot of times, maybe most people will start experimenting with drinking in the party scene in high school. But 8th grade, that's pretty young. Did any part of you feel scared by that or intimidated by that whole scene, or did it feel normal?
No, it felt normal. I was just into, like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool thing to do, to go to these college parties or smoke weed with older kids. I just thought it was, at the time, I thought it was a cool thing to do. But
and what went on, like, at home? Did your parents know about this or anything?
To a certain extent, they knew I was starting to not do as good as I used to, and they really tried everything that they could do, but it was either my way or the highway, I guess you could say. I mean, if they tried to ground me or take my phone, I would just go get a new phone, or like
because you had the money.
Yeah, or go do or like just leave.
You just leave? What do you mean? Where would you go?
To a friend's house or somewhere. If they tried to ground me, I wouldn't really be grounded.
Huh.
So yeah, they tried, but I was just not a good kid.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like no one really could control you, from what I remember even.
Yeah, for the most part. I had a real problem with respect and authority, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. So. Do you think you were like you were inclined, rather than to listen to authority, to outright defy and disrespect authority?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess you could say that. If someone told me I shouldn't do it, I would probably just do it, just to show them I could. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I want to have like a psychological insight into this. Where do you think that not reckless, but that willingness to go against authority, more than willingness even, where does that come from? Like, is it genetic, or did you see someone that you looked up to doing that or acting that way, or what do you think?
No, I mean, I guess that's a good question. I mean, I don't really know. I guess I just thought I could do it. I don't really know how to answer that, but there was no one I really looked up to that was doing it. My parents were. I had really good parents, so mm-hmm. It was just, I don't know where it came from.
Right. And what's crazy, and I'm throwing my own recollection of this into here, but it's like in 8th grade especially, honestly, even in the freshman year and so on, you could pretty much get away with doing what you want because no one was going to take you out. You were a big kid, an athletic, strong kid who had a reputation for being pretty freaking tough. So did you feel like no one could touch you at all, or?
I mean, I guess you could say that. I guess back in that time, I might have been a little cocky about things. Just young and dumb, I guess you could say.
Right. And this is coming from the perspective, take it with a grain of salt what I'm saying, because I was a smaller guy for sure. So it's
Right.
like, I might think you thought so much of yourself or whatever like that. And as we're talking about this, like, I know you're a great guy. And so I just want to mention again, as we talk about the past, I don't do it to highlight the past and say like, oh, this is you or anything like that. It's just to contrast the person you are now.
Right.
It's like, look how far you can go.
Yeah, I mean, it was me, and it still would be me if it wasn't for the grace of God and me like learning about Jesus and letting the Holy Spirit take place in my life. So.
Okay, I want to ask about that, but just for the sake of keeping this thing rolling,
Right.
talk about your high school experience. A lot of this started in 8th grade. High school, I mean, I don't mean to glorify it, but you had some legendary stunts and pranks. I don't know what you want to call them, but I was wondering if you could tell us about a few of those.
I mean, in high school, my junior year, I ended up getting expelled for the remainder of junior year because I got caught some weed brownies in school. But then I was able to come back senior year to finish out the year. But I mean, there was a lot of rumors about me doing all these senior pranks and stuff. Some of them might have been true, some of them might not have been true. But they're pretty hard on me.
Yeah, man, for sure. And dang it, Garrett, I hate doing this, but I want to keep asking you questions because
you're good.
People have wondered about this stuff. Like, first of all, did someone have an adverse reaction to the weed brownies in high school, and it was like kind of a
I guess one
don't
of the
say
girls,
names if you
no,
okay.
I'm not gonna say no names.
Okay.
Now, one of the girls that ate one, I told her to just take like a bite or eat half of it, but I think she ate the whole thing and got a little too buzzed off it and ended up having to she passed out, I think, and yeah, so that's how I got caught.
Were you like crapping your pants when that happened, or were you not even worried?
I was probably pretty scared. I was probably like, oh snap, I'm down now. But yeah.
And so that event happened, and then one more event I was hoping you'd talk about was the school break-in.
Oh, yeah, someone got into the school. I don't really know exactly what happened. All I know is they tried blaming me for it.
That wasn't you?
No.
No way.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know who it was, but yeah, they thought it was me. They searched my house looking for anything that had, because I think someone they like spray painted or I don't know what happened, but
hold up,
or
okay.
put like some oil or honey on stairwells. I don't know. I just heard what they accused me of.
Huh.
Yeah.
I thought there was. Oh my gosh, man! This is where rumors. Let's squash any rumors right now. I heard that it was you, and they caught you because your phone connected to the Wi-Fi, and they were like, "Oh, 3 a.m. Garrett Taylor's Wi-Fi connected to the school." That's when the break-in happened.
No. They sent me to the office that next morning, and went and like searched my house, and they didn't find anything because I wasn't involved in it, and there was no Wi-Fi or anything that was connected to me. So
this is why you go straight to the source with stories like that.
Yeah.
My goodness, does that tick you off? Or
yeah, I actually heard that rumor before, and that's not true. That has nothing to do with anything. So
wow, man, were there any other rumors just around high school time that are just baloney that you've heard that you'd like to stomp out right now?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, there's many rumors that went down, but
okay. Man, I got one more.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've never been put in such a weird position like this before. I feel like I don't know. I'm not trying to ruin your reputation here. But
no, you're good, dude.
Okay. I want to ask this one. And like I said, no matter what, I'm just doing like a journalist work here. I'm asking the question. It's nothing super secret. It was a big rumor. Did you ever bury cats neck deep in the ground and run them over with a mower?
No, not at all. One time I shot a cat out of the tree because any wild cats around our house, they would scratch our bird dogs up. So I've shot a few cats, but I've never done nothing like that, dude.
Wow, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry. I was really, these sound so far-fetched. And I remember hearing them, and people are like, no, dude, I swear. And I'm a pretty skeptical person anyway. It's like, how can this guy interact with me? I remember on the track team, you were a normal guy.
Right.
You just got into trouble, but these rumors seem so far-fetched. I'm like...
Yeah, they're just... Honestly, that's pretty crazy.
That one, you've never heard that one, though?
I've heard of... I didn't know that people were talking about me about doing that, but I've heard of people saying other people have done that, but... No, that's not true at all.
Man, okay, while we're just trekking through this stuff and you're, stomping these stupid rumors, honestly, I remember you getting into fights a lot, and it was kind of an awesome thing from my perspective. I was like, dang, dude, he's tough. You should have wrestled is what you should have done.
Yeah.
I mean, you really should have wrestled. But, I mean, you got into some fights in high school that were pretty big-time fights. I was wondering if you could tell us, like, why were you into that type of thing?
Dude, just back in the day, man, I was just not smart, man. I would just walk around, specifically like at the Fairbury Fair,
Mm-hmm.
Every year I would, like, when I was younger, probably until like junior year or maybe even sophomore year, like freshman year and sophomore year, I guess, when it was, I would fight. Like, I would just walk around and like try to like pick fights with these like other kids that I didn't even know, I would just pick fights, and then sometimes they would agree to it, and I would fight them, It was just why I did it, I don't know. I guess I was just cocky, and I thought it was cool, like, because people made a big deal about it, like there would be like almost 100 people like circled up, and I would be fighting, it was just like crazy. So
wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever lose?
Not in those fights. One time down at a party in Champaign, I don't really remember it exactly, but I was probably way, I guess you could say drunk, and this kid whooped up on me pretty good. But yeah, this is all kind of embarrassing talking about, because I look back at it, I'm just like, wow.
I know, that's why I feel so bad, because I can tell when you look back at yourself, you're like ticked off or ashamed maybe of your former self, and it's like, dude, hey, that's not me anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, I just want to talk about that, to contrast who you are now. And, right before I plan on transitioning now into what the heck happened after high school, I'm genuinely curious here. But before we do that, in spirit of a wonderful transition that we're about to talk about, I want to say a quick thank you to a couple sponsors that I love and that you know and love. Fairbury Furniture, first of all, is Central Illinois' premier furniture store. Wouldn't you agree, Garrett?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For sure. The family-owned business offers a vast selection of premium furniture items from all of your favorite brands, including Sealy, Best Home Furnishings, Leather Italia, Tempur-Pedic, and Ashley, just to name a few. And right next door to their gorgeous 7,000-square-foot furniture showroom, you will find the Fairbury Furniture Mattress Store, home to all the latest and greatest mattresses in any and all sizes. Here at Fairbury Furniture, the staff is helpful and friendly, and they are well-stocked with all the mattresses, tables, chairs, recliners, couches, rugs, and decorative pillows that your heart desires. So make your home interior beautiful, comfortable, stylish, and delightful when you shop at Fairbury's own Fairbury Furniture. Gary, you ever slept on something less than a mattress? What am I saying here? You ever slept on something that wasn't a mattress? Gosh.
Oh yeah.
Right on. Oh yeah. Why do you say oh yeah?
I've slept. I've slept on all sorts of stuff. Grounds, yeah. I guess when I was homeless, like probably for at least like 4 months of this homeless stint, like I didn't sleep on any beds. There was no beds involved,
Holy smokes.
So.
Well, dang. Okay, I got one more message right here from Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury, a place we all know and love, and we've all been there. And I'm going to play that really quick, and then I want to talk about this crazy story that you have. Since 1950, Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury has been wowing customers throughout Central Illinois with their unmatched customer service, delectable deli market, beloved grocery carryout service, and many other fortes, which is why they've earned hundreds of 5-star reviews online. Dave's 3rd Street Deli has plenty of seating and is a destination place to meet your family and friends for good food, fun, and fellowship. Not only is their home-style fried chicken here the best around, but you can also enjoy free coffee and 50-cent ice cream every single day. And be sure to check out their Old World Bakery while you're here, where freshly baked goods are prepared every morning. You'll find hundreds of unique and signature items here at Dave's that you won't find anywhere else, like their famous potato salad, ham loaf, and canned meats, just to name a few. Dave's Supermarket is open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and offers online shopping and curbside services. Come experience this revered location that puts the super in supermarket when you shop at Dave's in Fairbury, Illinois, wowing the customer for over 70 years. All right, we are back. That was Dave's Supermarket. Okay, Garrett, you were just telling me about a wild story. Well, you were saying that you slept on not beds for quite a while, right after high school. I guess I'll kind of give you the reins here. What exactly happened after you graduated?
All right, well, there's a lot.
Yeah, take your time.
I guess directly after high school, I started working on this other farm, and was working with some people that got me into cocaine. So I started doing cocaine and working on this pig farm, and then I started selling the cocaine, and ended up getting caught with it at a party. So I went to jail for a little while in Livingston County. Ended up getting bonded out or bailed out or whatever. And then went back to working on the farm, doing the same thing, cocaine and drinking, and then I ended up headed home one night after I was drinking and doing drugs, and I was in one of my boss's work trucks, and it was snowy night. I was probably 2 miles from my house out in the country, or my parents' house, and ended up, I don't know if I fell asleep or passed out, but ended up flipping the truck multiple times, getting ejected from the truck, and kind of a crazy story. So where I wrecked, there was a house maybe a quarter mile down the road, maybe a little farther, and I don't remember any of this, but apparently I walked to this house, and they took me inside, got me cleaned up, called an ambulance, ended up having to get 9 staples in my head, and got a DUI from it. And I remember going back to the truck, at the junkyard, and trying to see if there's any of my belongings in it. And dude, this truck was smashed. I don't know how I survived at all, let alone only having to get a couple staples in my head. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And I ended up going back to jail after that for 6 months. And then in order for me to get out of jail, I had to go to rehab. So I went down to Florida to this rehab, and it was a super nice place, super nice facility down in West Palm Beach, Florida. But the second day in the rehab there, someone had snuck in, or I don't know if they snuck in some heroin or something, but they gave me some of that, and I did that one time, and then I found out this rehab, if you weren't there to actually help yourself, if you were forced to be there, it was not a very good place. There was a ton of people, just there because they had to be, and they were still doing drugs. They would sneak out of the rehab and go down to the corner store and get some drugs from these Jamaicans, because it was in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is a nice place. But if you're in the wrong side of town, which this rehab facility was, you just had to walk down the street, and there was drug dealers just waiting to hand out drugs to these people in rehab, So yeah, I was in that rehab for almost a year, maybe. I don't know, but I'm, just kind of messed around the whole time. I ended up making the halfway program and got a job at this event rental place, and just kept on doing drugs, faking drug tests, and not doing very good. And then I ended up getting kicked out of the rehab because one of the kids that I was doing the drugs with overdosed, and so I got kicked out of rehab. And it was a crazy experience because at least like 7 people while I was at this rehab died because they were doing drugs and like fentanyl. And they were just like, it was like every night there would be ambulances at this rehab, just like taking people away that overdosed. And they couldn't really stop it because I don't really know why, but they would just keep doing the drugs. So yeah, I ended up getting kicked out of the rehab. And then I went to like this halfway house for a little while, and that obviously didn't go well. I was still doing the drugs.
Real quick, so you made it to the halfway point. They gave you like an award, but you were actually doing drugs.
Yeah. I mean, there was multiple people that would just, fake the drug test. They would just like either drink a whole bunch of water to like dilute the drug test or, whatever. But I made it to halfway, so then I got a job and was like leaving the rehab every day to go work. So yeah, I started, and this event rental company was kind of cool. Like I went to all sorts of cool places, like Donald Trump's house, all sorts of like places we would set up events, and it was kind of cool. There's all sorts of places we went, but I was not doing good then. I was still doing drugs.
Well, can I ask you a quick question? Like, this whole concept of mandatory rehab is an interesting thing in and of itself because like Psychology 101, psychiatrists, psychologists know this. Don't try to help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. Like,
Right.
to try to force someone into rehab to do a very difficult thing to fix a problem that they don't want to fix, it seems counterintuitive. I mean, you said some people were, in fact, forced to go there, like on a court order, right?
Yeah. Which is what I was there doing. I wasn't ready to, change my life and get clean. I was still young. I was like 19 maybe. I was still young, and there was all sorts of young people there too, and it was when I first tried heroin, was at this rehab the second day there, and it was just kind of downhill from there.
I want to ask, like, so you were 19, so who knows, what you were thinking. You're still a very young person. What thoughts in your head pushed you to try heroin?
Yeah, so I guess growing up, like, I always saw like the heroin addict as like some like person that looked super drugged out, like homeless, whatever. But then I got to this rehab and I saw these people that were kind of like me, athletic, like didn't really look like drug addicts and they were doing heroin. So I was like, I guess it's something to do, I mean, maybe, I don't really know why, but I did it. And I didn't really start doing it hard. I was just like, I guess sniffing it then, like snorting it. And then, but
I think heroin is more prevalent than even the stats show. And the stats show a pretty large amount, a pretty sharp increase, especially in places like Central Illinois even. But like, I've heard a lot of stories from nurses and doctors saying that people come in all the time that seem relatively stable, but they said like, this morning I snorted heroin or whatever. I didn't even know you could snort heroin, but like, it seems common in a crazy way.
Yeah. I guess it might be. It's a bad deal, it's a horrible drug. But it does feel like when you do it, I mean, I guess you could say it feels good, but it's not worth it. It's horrible. It takes you to your lowest points of your life. It makes that's all you think about all day is like doing the drug or finding ways to get the drug. It's just like takes over your life, dude. And it's so hard to quit because like if you stop doing it, you get so sick. Like deathly sick. Like you don't actually die, but like you feel like you're going to die. Like it's just a horrible feeling. And then so like you pretty much do whatever you can do to get the drug.
Right, yeah.
So.
And I know with like alcoholism, for serious alcoholics, the withdrawal itself can be powerful enough to kill someone. It's like some people, they've done this, has happened plenty of times, they've taken an alcoholic family member who's just extreme alcoholic, put him in a home in like the desert or something, and just keep them there for months, and they die. They die even though they have food. It's because their body becomes like dependent on this drug.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for sure you can die from like alcohol withdrawals, and I think benzo withdrawal you can die from too. But I don't think you can die from like withdrawals from like opiates and stuff. I think it's just feels like horrible, like yeah.
Mhm. And did you have that then? Well, here, continue on with your story. You said you were visiting these. It was a really kind of a cool experience at this halfway home. Right?
Yeah. I guess I was working and visiting these cool spots. Ended up getting fired from that job because I was wearing my work uniform and I stole a candy bar from a gas station because I was spending all my money on bad things. I didn't have any money, so I was hungry, so I took a candy bar, and then the cashier caught me and saw what shirt I was wearing, so they called the event rental company and ended up getting fired. So then after I got fired from there, couldn't really pay for my halfway house anymore. So then I guess what happened was my dad flew down and picked me up. Or no, he drove down. Yeah, I think he drove down. Yep, he drove down with my sister and then picked me up and took me home back to Illinois. And let me think here. And then I started working for him. He's like a project manager for MetroNet, running fiber. So I was like I started doing lineman work, like putting fiber up on the aerial poles and whatnot. Let's see here. I wasn't doing like hard drugs then, but I was like drinking and still not getting my life together, still kind of living day by day and not really having any goals, so then after a little while doing that, I had decided I was going to go down to North Carolina. My aunt and uncle lived down there, so I was going to go down there and get fresh start, and try to do good down there, get away from all the people, places, and things that I'm inclined to doing bad things around. So
you needed a change in scenery and environment to really, which is true. You need that if you really want to start over.
Yeah. So, well, I went down there and somehow I found out that someone that I had met in Florida lived in the same city, Greensboro. So the same week I moved down there, I contacted this person and got drugs from him. As soon as I went down there, I messed up. Got drugs from him and started doing drugs. Not heavily, just kind of on and off. And then because I didn't really have any money, at this time, I just had a little bit of money, and then I ended up spending it all. So I started working for this electrician as an electrical apprentice, part-time, and then landscaper the other part-time. Started doing that, and then I started getting money, some income, and then, of course, spent that money on drugs. And that's when it started getting pretty bad. Like I started using IV use, like needles and stuff.
Like shooting up?
Yeah. So like I was living with my aunt and uncle at this time, shooting up, and they knew something was off, and they a couple of times they found like the needles or whatever, and they gave me multiple opportunities to change. Like like they were like, yeah, if you don't change, you can't live here. I mean, we can't just keep letting you live here like this. So so then I eventually like stopped doing it for a little while, was doing some online courses at a community college, trying to do good, I was trying, not hard enough, but I was trying somewhat. And then I had the idea I was going to apply to this like nice private college that was right down the road and try to walk onto their football team. So I ended up getting accepted to this nice college. Moved into the dorm room, started walking onto the football team, like practicing with them and stuff. But of course, as soon as I like got some freedom and was living on my own in this dorm room, the drug use got worse and worse. One of the landscapers I worked with did heroin, and so I was getting it from him, and the money, how I was getting the money for it while I was in college. I had my mom's card connected to a Western Union account that she had hooked up for me when I was living down in Florida, and I still had this account. So I was like sending myself money without her knowing, like $40, pretty much $40 a day. And somehow she didn't. I guess she didn't check her bank account or something, but she didn't know until like way down the road. So. Yeah, I guess it was then that's when I kind of started. I got introduced to meth because how that happened was the landscaper that I had worked with that was getting me the heroin ended up going to rehab. So he introduced me to this lady before he left, and then so this lady I was getting the drugs from her, and then one day she had some meth and was like, "Hey, try this." So I tried it, and it was like, it's kind of hard to describe, but it was just like pretty crazy stuff, like shooting up meth is not good at all,
Could you try to explain it? Because I don't know anyone who's ever done meth. I've had some people on here that have done heroin,
yeah,
but never meth.
Yeah, so I guess it's just like you shoot, I don't really want to talk about it too much, but it's just
no instructions, sure.
It's just like, warm, since it's kind of like heroin except like way more I don't know how to describe it, dude.
Like, is it a cozy feeling or something weird?
No, it's just like you just shot up like 1 billion rounds of coffee.
Okay, so it's like you turn into a,
and like that
like
you
manic?
get like the pretty much, yeah. Eventually, like that's what happened to me. Like I went to like after like months of doing this, like I went into like a psychosis state where my sense of reality was like so out of touch. But yeah, bad stuff, dude.
Man,
really
worse than heroin, you'd say?
Yeah, it definitely not as dangerous as heroin, but for psychology, like psychologically state, like it totally messed with my mind, dude, like horribly. But anyway, so like started doing that, like, and I was like practicing with the football team every morning, so like to get up and go to the spring training practice, which was like all conditioning, I would like have to shoot up like a thing of meth and heroin. Like,
you're joking.
Yeah.
You went to football practice on meth and heroin.
I mean, I had to, like, to get out of bed. I had to not be sick. I had to do heroin to like make myself to where I'm not like falling asleep. I had to do the meth, and it was just like a horrible cycle, dude. And obviously that didn't last for long, because like who can go to college spring training on meth and heroin for very long. So like after the first semester doing that, like I just quit college. And I remember we were supposed to be out of our dorms one day, like because the semester was over, and I remember waking up like 2 days after that date, and like everybody was gone, and I was like, what so then I just grabbed some clothes and in a bag and just kind of left, and started just contacted someone I knew, and yeah, that's when things really started getting pretty bad and dark, dude.
That's when they started? Okay, well, geez,
like, I mean, yeah, so like I couldn't go back to my aunt and uncles because they knew I wasn't doing good, and they didn't want to
pull your mic just a little closer. Yeah. You're fine. Just keep going. Sorry.
They didn't want to enable me.
That's perfect. Yep, perfect.
They didn't want to like enable me to continue doing this, so they didn't want me living with them, and so they just wanted me to, I guess, learn the hard way, which I'm thankful for. Like, and this is like the darkest time in my life, but at the same time, I'm like most thankful for it, because like it just showed me like how lost I'm going to get, like living life on my own terms, So yeah, let's see here. Left college, started like living on people's couches, like these bad people like that were obviously drug addicts and not good people. And that I learned quickly that I didn't want to do that anymore, because one time I was living, not living, but I was like staying on this person's couch. And yeah, he ended up like drugging me and like taking advantage of me. So like that, I stopped like living on random people's couches, because that's pretty bad. And what's crazy is like I was so like addicted to these drugs. I knew that this had happened to me, but I was still like I was still like, I guess not hanging out with the person, but I was still like affiliated with them because like they had drugs, And I was like so addicted to drugs it didn't really matter. But I stopped like staying at people's houses. So I just started like living on the streets, like, and sleeping wherever I could find, anywhere, honestly.
So if I were in North Carolina in this area at this time, there's a chance that I could have seen you in the middle of the night laying on like a sidewalk?
Not a sidewalk, but like let's see here, like sometimes I was like you'd catch me a lot of times like in the hotel lobbies until they kicked me out but then like eventually like all the hotels like knew what I was doing, so they would just like make sure I wasn't in there. But or like one time this was like I was just sleep wherever, dude, most of the time I wouldn't even sleep. Like I would be up for like week and a half, 2 weeks at a time, just like doing whatever,
Wow.
But so like this is kind of a crazy story. See here. So one of the people I knew, he was a pretty scary dude. He had asked me if I could get him some drugs, like, cause a lot of that, like, that's one of the ways I like would like fuel my drug use is like, I knew some drug dealers that would give me good deals. So people would come to me asking me to get them drugs, and then I would just take some of their drugs and then whatever. So this dude like asked me if I could get him like $500 worth of meth, and I was like, yeah, I got you. So he picked me and this kid up that I was with, and we went to this lady's house that I would normally get it from. Well, she was taking too long, so he's like, dude, I don't have time for this, blah, blah, blah. So we drove off, and then I texted the kid, and I was with in the back seat, and I was like, hey, I want to tell Jeremy, which is the one who wanted to get the drugs. I was like, I'm going to tell Jeremy that you can get him some, so he's going to give you the money, and then just don't come back, and I'll meet up with you later. So he did it, and like an hour went by, and Jeremy's like, dude, where's this kid at? I'm like, I don't know. He must have took your money. And Jeremy was like, well, it's not my money. It's my brother-in-law's money. And then I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where the kid went. I don't even know him that well, blah, blah. And then he's like, well, you're not leaving until you find him or you get the money that he has in mind. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be with you for a while. And he's like, well, my brother-in-law is coming up because it's his money. So we sat in this Burger King parking lot for a while waiting on his brother-in-law, who ended up being like, it was like a member of a biker club called the Renegades. And so this dude's name is Dog. They called him Dog, and he came up with this other dude named Stacy. And I don't even remember what I was thinking at this time, but I'm sure I don't even know. But so they pull up, and Stacy gets out, and literally the first thing he says to me is like, smile for me, boy. And I was obviously like scared, so I just like smiled, and then he didn't say anything else. He walked back to his truck, and Jeremy was like, yeah, this dude's, I didn't know he was going to bring Stacy. This is like the enforcer for the Renegades, blah, blah. And Jeremy was like, yeah, he's told you to smile because he has a bag of teeth that he knocks out. And I was like, well, I don't know where your money's at. And then so Dog came out, and Dog never said anything to me, but he would talk to Jeremy. He's like, I need my money, blah, blah. And I'm trying to think here. Eventually they left, and Jeremy was like, well, you can't leave until I get Dog's money. And I just kept denying. I just kept calling their bluff. I was like, I don't know where this kid is. Like, well, for one, I wasn't going to tell him where they were because the kid would rat me out. And for two, I wanted to be released so I could go get my part of the money so I could get some drugs, So, like, I just kept denying it. And then, like, 3 or 4 days went by, and he finally let me go. And let's see here what happened after that. So he let me go, and then
Was he like keeping you at his place, I guess?
No. So he worked with granite, and there was like this like old. It was kind of like an abandoned warehouse where they would like work on granite and stuff, like countertops. So I was just staying there in this room, like pretty much held hostage, dude.
How'd they keep you there? Did you think about running? Probably.
I thought about it, but this dude was scary, and I knew like I'm not going to try to run. I'm just going to pretend like I'm innocent and do whatever. And plus, and plus he had drugs, and he would like give me some. So
man.
But anyways, they ended up letting me go, and I met up with this kid, got my part of my money, and then got some drugs. But then like a week went by, and Jeremy contacted me again, because at this time I had a cell phone. For most of my time homeless, I didn't have a cell phone, but I still had a cell phone now. He contacted me. He said, "Hey, come by the warehouse." I think he wanted me to try to get him some more drugs. So I went there, and then I showed up. And I didn't see him. Then all of a sudden, he like walks out and like hits me with a little .22 pistol, and he starts like screaming at me like, "You took the money, I know you did." Well, apparently he found the kid, and the kid showed him the messages that I had sent him. So he's like all up in my face, like I'm like on the ground of this warehouse, like just like in a corner, like just kind of scared, and he's like yelling at me, pointing this pistol in my face, and then he gets out his phone and videotapes me like admitting to taking it because he wanted to clear his name with dog or whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I took it, blah blah. I'll pay you back." And he's like, "How are you gonna pay me back?" I was like, I don't know, I'll work for you. Like so then I worked. I was like did granite work with him for like months, not months, weeks, and then I started like actually working for him, and he would like. The owner of the company would pay me like very little money, but it was enough money to supply my habit. So that's how I started like working with granite in courts. Yeah.
Holy smokes, man! Is this hard for you to talk about at all, or is it just like
no? I'm just like looking back at it and like just like kind of just shaking my head like, man, I wish I didn't go through it, but then again, I'm glad I did because it just made me I just know I need to rely on someone higher than myself, like not on myself.
So you were working at this granite place, and the money was enough to. It's kind of crazy that at first they made you work slave labor to pay back what you had taken, and then you actually started working for them.
Yeah, well, kind of working, but like, dude, I probably like over like the maybe 2 or 3 months I was working for him, I made maybe like $200, mm-hmm. Maybe more than that. I don't really remember, but he owed me so much money, and I would always try to get it from him. Then the owner would never give it to me because it was a shady business, dude. Like,
of course, yeah.
It was like in this old warehouse, and that's there was like a little couch, and that's where I would sleep for a while. So yeah, dude.
And he held you at gunpoint in the corner and was videotaping you. Like, dude, you had to be scared for your life, or were you not? Like, I keep getting this idea, this feeling that you're much more concerned with drugs than I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I was scared, but like at the same time, for some reason, I had a feeling like he wasn't going to do anything. Like, if it was like Dog or Stacy doing it, excuse me, I would have been scared, but this guy, I could tell he had a little goodness in him. Stacy, dude, this if you can picture like the most scariest, craziest person you've ever met in your life, this is what this dude looked like. He was like skinny, had a ponytail, and pretty much the only thing he said to me the whole time was just like, "Smile for me, boy." And
Stacy's a guy, I guess.
Yeah, he's a guy, and he's a scary dude. Like, yeah, and Dog was just like the typical biker, like big, bearded, like. Yeah, so. Man. But yeah, I wasn't. I'm sure I was scared. I don't really remember honestly, but I'm sure I was scared, and I'm sure I was just like, yeah, I don't really remember honestly, dude. But I guess let's see here. So where were we?
Well, you started working for him like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and it ended because the owner wanted me to get him some cocaine one time, so. I got him the cocaine, and half of the money I spent on drugs for me, heroin, and I met him at this like rundown bar, and I thought I gave him the cocaine while I gave him the bag of heroin, and he went to do it in the bathroom, and he like just like passed out, and I had to call the ambulance, and yeah, he overdosed on that, and
Wait, say what you mixed up again. You meant to give him what?
I meant to give him his cocaine, but I gave him his heroin, or I gave him my heroin, and he went to the back because it kind of looks similar. You know, it's powder, and this heroin happened to be white.
And you snort both.
You can snort both, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he did it, and he was in the bathroom for a while, and I went and checked on him. He was like passed out in the stall. So yeah, I called the police. Or not the police, but the ambulance. Or I had the bartender call the ambulance because I don't think I think at this time I didn't have a cell phone. So
right. Okay. As insane as that story is, it's almost funny that you mixed up these things.
Yeah, like, hey, I guess you could find some humor in it, but it was just a bad deal. I'm just glad that he ended up living, because if not, it would probably be a totally different story, you know. So yeah, obviously I didn't work for him after that, really. I would still like sleep at that warehouse because like the owner would never come to the warehouse, but like I would still kind of like sneak in and like sleep on the couch, or there was like an old broken down avalanche truck that I would sleep in sometimes too. And it was like the West Market Street of Greensboro, which is just like kind of like an industrial like bad part of town, you know. So spent a lot of time there, you know. Let's see here. Yeah.
Man, well, first of all, I'd like to formally apologize for saying that was at all funny. It wasn't funny.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, like, dang, you mixed them up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, was not funny. I apologize for saying that. But okay, so this just seems insane. I mean, you're sleeping in this truck, this rundown truck. You're homeless as far as I can tell, and you're just living to do drugs, it seems. And you're what, probably 20 years old at this point?
Yeah, actually, I think I was 21.
Okay.
Because when I was still at the college, I turned 21 there because I remember my roommates took me out, went bowling or something for my 21st birthday.
Wait a minute. So while this is all going on, you're at... Did you say you were at school? Like
no, I was just saying I turned 21 when I was in college.
Okay.
But all this is after I had left college after the first semester.
Okay.
So I was like 22 and a couple months old.
Got it.
Or 21 and a couple months old.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, logical next question is how do you leave this situation, or is there another? Does it get worse as you keep saying?
I mean, it doesn't get. I mean, yeah, it gets worse. I just keep getting more dependent on the drugs, and my mind just keeps getting more and more far off. Like I can't really even describe how the thoughts I was going through my head. Like the more I did the meth, the more days and weeks I stayed up without sleep. Like yeah, it was just horrible. I was completely lost, dude. I remember I would like walking down the roads at nighttime, like I was all by myself, like mostly I didn't have anybody to hang out with because like all the drug addicts and bad people around like didn't really trust me because like I didn't really look like them, you know. Like I had just gotten out of college. A lot of them thought I was like police, you know. A lot of them thought I was like undercover or something, and like I'm not undercover. I mean, look at my arms. I have track marks everywhere, you know. But they would still not. They would like get drugs from me, or I would get drugs from them, but they wouldn't really let me hang out with them, you know. Mm-hmm. And like they were all like from that area, so they knew everybody, but they didn't know me, you know. I was just like some random person. So like I would say 80% of the time I was homeless, I was by myself, just walking around, dude. Like aimlessly walking around, just, you know, I like for the majority of the time I didn't have a phone, so I would like go inside hotels and like get on their office laptop, like you know, like hotels like have a computer.
Oh yeah, they have a little public computer section.
Yeah, so I would like go in there and get on Facebook and try contacting people asking them if they needed anything or any drugs, or if they had drugs or whatever, you know. Because that's how I would supply my habit. But yeah, it was just crazy, dude.
Well, okay. How old are you right now?
24.
You're 24 years old right now. You're turning 25 tomorrow. Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Thank you.
But this did not happen, I mean, that long ago. Yes, it's a few years, but what the heck happened? How did you leave this situation? What's the big next phase of your life? How did you turn the chapter?
All right, let's see here. Well, dude, I was just I kind of got tired of like living like I was, and I was kind of down on my luck, like down, and I was feeling kind of down. Everything was going wrong. I was in and out of jail, whatnot. Because I would be like in and out of jail like for criminal trespass, like sleeping places I wasn't supposed to be sleeping, or like before we proceed, like here's another kind of crazy story. The area that granite shop was in, and I was sleeping most of the time. One night I was just sitting there, and I heard like this is kind of weird, but like I heard like screams, like sounded like people were like just screaming like for their lives, like a big group of people. And I was like, what in the world is that? Like for a minute I was like, am I going crazy? Well, I was going crazy, but not to that extent. I knew what I heard, right? Like I know I heard some like blood-wrenching screams, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So days went on. I had mentioned it to some people that I was getting drugs from, or I was doing drugs with, and they kind of like, oh, dude, you're crazy. And then one time I was with this lady in that kind of same part of town. This lady, I think she was probably pretty much homeless too. I don't know, but doing drugs with her, and I had mentioned it to her, and she's like, oh, you're talking the murder factory. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, me and my boyfriend were walking down the railroad tracks one time in that same area, and we heard it, and we just we called it the murder factory. She explained it as like carnival ride breaking and people screaming. Like that's how like these screams sounded like people like were like in bad shape, like for their lives pretty much, and
just like extreme fear
so I was like, what? So at this point I'm like, wow, so I'm not crazy. I did hear something, and these people like are like maybe like kidnap people or something. So like for like at least a month, it felt like 3-4 months, but I think it was probably only a month. Like I like went in detective mode, and like I thought I was going to like save these people. So like for like a month maybe, I was just like going around like in this area like at nighttime, just like seeing if I found anything suspicious, like going into these places where I thought it might be, like trying to find these people like and save them. And yeah, crazy. Like I had a backpack and like a little notebook, like writing down things suspicious. Dude, I was like out of my mind, and obviously it wasn't safe, but I thought I was going to like save these people.
Well, hey, that's worth noting, man. You were, although you were hugely reliant, and I mean you were addicted to drugs, you still had good in you. You want to save people.
Well, yeah. Honestly, that's another reason why people didn't really want to hang around me, because like I was still like, you could see some good in me. Like I was respectful and like nice and stuff, but all these other people were like very bad, like very disrespectful to ladies and girls. And like if I ever like heard it when I was around them, I'd like say like, whoa, come on now, like stop them. And but like, yeah, I was, there was some good still in me, but I was like just addicted to drugs, like hardcore, and like, yeah. So, but yeah, I ended up never finding them, but that's something like I prayed about for probably, I haven't prayed about it in a while, but like I used to pray for it every night. Like, God, if there was like something, if what I heard was real, and there is people like that need help, like save them, and, or like, like, cause dude, I still hear it in my, like, I can still like think of it and hear like how scary like those screams sounded, so
Man.
It's wild.
Well,
and I would like to think like sometimes I tell myself, well, maybe it was just like a recording or like a movie that someone was watching really loud, but there's no houses around. And it sounded super real, dude. So I don't know. And I even like called like anonymous tip line, like, and told like, when I was like doing detective work, so I was like sitting in this area for a month straight, like not leaving,
like, and there's like this little Mexican grocery store that would give me like the bread at the end of the day. Like, so I would eat that and I would just stay here for the whole month. I would just like walk around like these industrial parts trying to find these people. And I called the anonymous tip line from a gas station telephone, and like I told them about it, and I never saw a police car the whole time. Mm-hmm. So, but then I ended up getting like arrested in this one like warehouse area in the area, because I was like going through these places trying to like find these people that needed help, and ended up getting like criminal trespass charges. And of course I tried explaining to the cops like, hey, I'm trying to save these people, you know, like, and he thought I was crazy, you know, but this is for real, dude. Like I know what I heard. And then this lady and her boyfriend heard the same thing. Like, you know, I don't know when they heard it, but they heard it too. So.
Man, I recently had on a lady who was sucked into the world of sex trafficking when she was 9, and she talks about these sheds. For some reason, it's always like big machine shed type things. And so when you're in the sex trafficking world, a lot of the times, you know, these men that are in that place, they do purposely outrageous things when they're, you know, raping a woman. Like for instance, they could come in and like for a really weird example, like they could come in an alien costume, right? And then proceed to rape you, because then you try to tell the police he came in an alien costume. It's like, well, yeah, you're obviously crazy.
Right.
And it's like, and plus they do an excellent job of covering stuff up. And if they can space these events out, like who's going to be around there anyway besides, you know, someone who is like in your position. So there's an awfully high likelihood that something really was going on, but they knew that the only person that would be, if they weren't concerned about you telling the police because of your position.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I just hope and pray like whatever it was, like God saved them or something, you know, or like, or they got caught, like whoever was doing it got caught, you know, who knows, man. It's just, there's a lot of what ifs or, you know, so.
Well, okay, you're saying you hope and pray. It seems like prayer and God has been a new theme in your life. And I mean, look at the turnaround you've done. Holy smokes. How you went from that to who you are now, an excellent young man and a family man. Like, what? Yeah, so, how did God come into the picture?
I guess, like, I was down on my luck. Like, this is like maybe a month or so after all this had happened. I was still homeless, and I remember finding myself like walking down some railroad tracks, and I was just like way down, dude. And I was like, remember literally like yelling like, God help me. And I had done this because I remember seeing like, I don't know if it was like on a commercial or something, or I saw somewhere where they had said like cry out and yell out to God to help you. And so I had done that, and like on the outside, like things still were bad for me, but on the inside, I don't remember if it was instantly or maybe very soon after, something on the inside definitely changed. Like I couldn't like anytime I like said a like cuss word or something, like I didn't sit right with me. You know, I couldn't steal anything from grocery stores or anything like to eat. I guess I was just really aware of like my sin, you know, aware of all the bad I was doing. So then once that happened, like, I mean, I started getting really like hungry and down on my luck, like, cause I couldn't steal like food anymore. So let's see here. But I was still homeless and still like addicted to drugs and still, whatever. So, and one time it was like on Christmas Eve, like even after I had cried out for God to help me, like it was Christmas Eve, and I was, it was really late, and I was in a spot where, I was like in downtown Greensboro for some reason, and I was super hungry, and there was nowhere to get food, because sometimes a homeless person could walk into a fast food place and they would give them some free food. Well, everywhere was closed. It was Christmas Eve, maybe like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was so hungry, dude. Like, this is kind of embarrassing, but like I ate I went to a dumpster behind a restaurant and like ate some like chicken wings. That's how hungry I was, you know? So like obviously that does something to you. You're like, wow, I'm in a bad spot, you know, if I'm eating chicken wings in a dumpster, you know. But still I didn't still I was, you know, trying to find drugs and stuff. And then one time this was when it was starting to get really cold. It was raining one time, and I all the hotels around, like, I couldn't go in because they didn't really let me. So it was raining and I was cold, and the only place I could go, I was in a spot where there wasn't many businesses or anything. So I just like literally hopped in a dumpster and sat in this dumpster with the lid over me, like out of the rain. Sat there like for hours, just trying to stay warm. Crazy thing is I actually had found a $5 bill in that dumpster that night. And because I was like digging through the trash, like seeing what I could find. I was sitting in a dumpster. What else are you going to do? So like, and I found a little $5 bill. And so when it stopped raining, I got out and I went and I knew there was a Restore, or was it Restore? Yeah, some secondhand store. And I was thought to myself, well, I'm going to go buy like a nice dress shirt and go try to get a job somewhere,
Wow.
So I walked and I bought a little egg sandwich from this diner on the way there, and I walked to the Restore, got a nice shirt with my $5, and because it was like the only time I actually had cash. Most of the time I got drugs was from people would want me to get drugs, so I would get it for them and then take some of theirs or something, So I got this nice shirt and started walking down the road, and I first place I stopped was at this like a barbecue restaurant, and asked to fill out an application. Well, he gave me an application. I started filling it out, and then they asked for my phone number. I didn't have a phone. They asked for my ID. I didn't have an ID. And then I started thinking, I was like, how's this even going to work? I don't even have a place to live. I can't even shower. I can't even sleep anywhere near here. Well, I could, but I don't want to. And I don't have a phone. I don't have an ID. So I was just halfway through the application, I just got out and left. I was like, this is pointless, So after that happened, let's see here. It was soon after that I ended up, what happened? Oh yeah, I went back to that truck I was sleeping in at the warehouse, and then, the current owner of that place found out and called the cops, and then I got arrested for another criminal trespass, sleeping in that truck. So I was in jail, and then finally, I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I want to go get some help, get a rehab. So I got a hold of my aunt and uncle, and they signed me up for a rehab down in Texas. And that's when I was ready to change. I had went to lower than I could ever imagine going. I was tired. I was just like, dude, this is not good. So I went to a rehab down in Texas, and started like actually praying like every morning. Just simple prayer for my family, for myself, and just I didn't really know much about prayer at the time. I just knew that. I knew I believed in God, and I knew that was something that saved me, so excuse me.
Oh, you're fine. How'd you check into the rehab place, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how'd that happen?
I just my aunt signed it up for me. I called her through the jail phone. I was like, hey, I'm ready to go to rehab for real this time. So she had gotten hold of rehab down in Texas. It was a Watershed, which is the same business or rehab that I went down in Florida, but they had a Texas version. She was like, well, obviously the Florida one didn't work out for you, so let's try the Texas one. Because it's a pretty good rehab, a lot of people do get help from it, and I ended up getting help from it. But so I went down to Texas, started praying, and started my aunt sent me like this little MP3 player with like FM on it, and I started listening to like Christian music, and it's kind of funny because months prior or before this, if you asked me what kind of music I liked, I would say anything but gospel music.
Isn't that kind of weird? I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah,
strange.
Like throughout my whole life, if you asked me like what music I listened to or liked to listen to, I'd say anything but gospel music. But at the time, my picture of gospel music was like old hymns and stuff, which now I enjoy. But back then I was like, I don't want to listen to that,
Mm-hmm.
So I got this little MP3 player, started listening to like, I think it was like Air One is like the station I started listening to. And, you know, like I found like a lot of hope, and like, I started feeling something good coming, you know, like I've started like, and now that I know more about it, like that's for sure the Holy Spirit. Like I was like, felt like I've never felt before, you know, like felt good, wanted to change my life, felt like I wanted to do good for me and other people, and just wanted to change, you know. So like day by day, like I started working on myself, and let's see here. I was at this rehab, was doing pretty good at the rehab, you know, met some good people. It was a good group of people in the rehab. So we all were just trying to get our lives back on track, you know. And let's see, I was, so my wife was working at this rehab.
Your now wife, not then wife.
Not then wife, but now wife was working at this rehab, and,
like as an employee, like she worked and helped the people in there. Okay.
Which, whatever, but, she worked there.
Wait, what would you say? Whatever.
It's whatever. Like, so like obviously it's kind of probably frowned upon for like an employee to run off with like a client, but like in this situation it was just God's work, you know, because like now looking back at it, it was like it was for sure meant to be. It was like some you know, divine intervention that truly helped both of our lives, you know. So yeah, I guess she was working at this rehab, and she was obviously a very beautiful lady, but I didn't really see myself ever having a chance with her. You know, I was like this drug addict in rehab, didn't have any money, didn't have a phone, didn't have anything. But I noticed her, and I noticed that she saw nothing but good in people, and she was just like an amazing woman. So I had found out that she was married, but they were separate. It was like an arranged marriage deal, didn't work out. So she was not happy with their marriage, and they were separated. So one day I was talking to her about it, and I was like, well, when I get, I remember I said, when I get rich, I'll come rescue you, and we can run off together and whatnot. She's like, I remember her saying, she's like, well, you don't have to be rich, blah, blah. And I was like, well, all right. So then that night I was sitting there thinking, you know, I was like, well, I wrote a poem, and I got this magnolia flower off this tree. And I know this is God, because I've never written a poem. I would never write a poem. And this poem was pretty dang good, dude. Like, you know, and I'm no poet, that's for sure. So I was like, well, this is sweet. So I got this poem, this flower, put it in a little box. It was actually a Fun Dip box, because I didn't have no boxes. I was in rehab, and so I found this little Fun Dip box, and I put it in a box, put it in my book bag, because I didn't really want anybody knowing that I was giving, you know, this work, one of the employees, like this poem and flower. I didn't want her to get in trouble, you know. And it was risky to begin with, because we had never really talked about anything like this, you know. But all she said is I didn't have to be rich for me to rescue her or like run away with her. So next day, after class and whatnot, I give her this box and like, hey, here's something for you. And she's like, can I open it now? I'm like, no, just wait. But she's like, well, I want to open it now. So I was like, all right, you can open it now. And she opened it, and she read it, and I could tell it hit her hard, you know. And she's like, she like gave me a little hug, and gave me her number. And so that night I called her off one of my roommate's phones, and she's like, well, I'm gonna buy you a phone and everything, and so we can talk. So that next day she bought me a phone, whatever. And then our rehab was gonna go see the movies that day. So I got my phone, was Messenger, whatever. We were supposed to go see the movies. It's like, hey, come to the movies, you know, we can watch a movie or whatever. So we go to the movies. She shows up. The techs at the rehab, like the people that are watching us, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, was like, hey, they told her that she can't be here, like she can't watch the movie with me or whatever. And I was like, why not, you know? They were like, well, it's just, I don't really know why, but I guess because patients aren't supposed to be, you know, seeing. We weren't even seeing each other. We were just like friendly, watching a movie, But they told her she couldn't be there. I was like, well, then if she can't be here, I'm not going to be here, So I just left with her, and we're like,
that's
well,
kind of productive. For
well,
them.
we had previously that day. It might have been 2 days. The movie might have been 2 days after I'd given her the poem. I'm not really for sure, but it was very soon. And we had talked about her going back to Illinois with me, and just us, being a couple or whatever. And we had briefly talked about it, not in too much detail, but let's see here. So yeah, we left the movies, and we were talking. I was like, well, I left the rehab, so I can't really go back because I had just left. If I go back, then I would have to start all over. I would have to start from day one, like in the inpatient part. So then that means like no privileges. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. So we were like, well, I guess we'll just go back to Illinois. And we went to her apartment, she packed her things up, and then we drove back to Illinois that night.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How was your experience drug-wise in Texas then? Did it go better, like as far as staying clean?
Oh yeah. I was doing good in Texas. It was because I was like growing my faith with God, I was focused on him, and I was focused on getting my life better. I was working out, just actively trying to do better, and like this is the first time in my life like I had actually been praying, like every morning I would pray. And like back in North Carolina, I would try to pray like when I was in jail or like even on the streets. Like I would try to pray, but I would never finish a prayer. Like my mind was just so scattered. Like I would start praying, and then before I know it, I'm thinking or doing something else. I would never like end with the amen. I would just like, it was bad. Excuse me. So yeah.
You moved back to Illinois.
Moved back to
drove
Illinois.
Back together.
Yep.
Where'd you live?
So we got an apartment in Bloomington. She had a little bit of money saved up. My grandparents also helped me. We got a little apartment. Started I went fishing with one of my buddies, and he was like, hey, I told him that we were looking for a church, and he was like, hey, come to our church in Lexington, the Lexington Community Church. I was like, all right. So we started going there, and just fell in love with it, the pastors, the people, and I started really learning what it meant to like just accept Jesus in your life, like, and just like started learning about him and learning about God and the Holy Spirit and what Jesus has done for us. And the more I learn, the better my life gets, But like there's still like, it's not perfect. Like I still have hard days sometimes, hard times, But I guess you could just those hard times don't hurt as bad when like and you're sure that your eternity's secure,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's for real. Like I just like looking back, like this is better than any of the drugs, like this is like learning about God and having his Holy Spirit in you, and like praying for it to fill you more every day, it's just like it's like the best drug in the world, because like there's no withdrawals from it, and it's just the feeling of it is very good, like coming here today, I was like just jamming out to some I think it was like Crowder or something. I got a Crowder CD, and I was just jamming out to some Christian music, and it was just like what that feeling was just like, man, this is way better than anything else.
Man, it's like everyone has a God-sized hole in their heart that they try to fill with who knows what. Girls, drugs, drinking,
right.
Maybe even a specific hobby or something, but it's just never full until God rests in there. It's like we're restless until we rest in God.
Right, that's right. And like one thing I noticed is like so like growing up, like if you asked me if I believed in God, I would say yeah, I believe in God. Whatever. I didn't. I knew who Jesus was. I knew he was God's son, but I didn't really know anything that he's done for us, But so obviously, just believing in God for me didn't save me. I still messed my life up horrendously. Just made a huge mess of it. But it wasn't until like I started praying and asking God to open my heart to him and open my eyes to him, and like learning about Jesus. That's when like some good work started happening in my life, you know? So, yeah, it's just a good thing, dude.
It's like a lot of the time I think people, when they're younger, everyone says, I believe in God, but really it's like a hollow proclamation of what you believe. It's like, yes, I believe in God, but there's nothing behind it really. And it seems like you have to live a lot of life and learn a lot of things before, rather than being hollow, your faith actually has something to it, it
Right.
actually has something in it. And it seems like, to me, it's fascinating because I feel like the Holy Spirit, say what you want, you can get theological, you can say the Holy Spirit's always with you, but like something really happened. It's like this Holy Spirit came into your heart and soul when you were walking on those railroad tracks and you were calling out for help, and all of a sudden something clicked and you couldn't steal from the grocery stores anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the Holy Spirit came back and took control of your conscience in some small way. And
Right.
it seemed like things just started building from there.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, obviously, as I said, like I still experienced a lot of hard things even after that happened. But on the inside, it just, like you said, it just started building up like goodness. And then finally, I was to a point where I wanted to get the help I needed. Yeah, it's just a good thing, dude. Someone was telling me, one of our pastors at church I was talking to the other day, is like, there's a difference between being a fan of Jesus and a follower of Jesus. You can be a fan all you want, but until you actually follow him and want to learn about him and believe in him and realize that he died on the cross in our place, so we could just receive God's glory and his not God's glory, but God's favor and his love. And then in return, just give the glory back to God and just worship him and love others.
That's pretty good. It's one thing to be a fan, but another thing to be a follower. It's like,
Yeah.
being a follower, that's not easy, by
Right.
the way. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's tough, but it's rewarding, like it's rewarding on the inside. Like you just feel like a better person. You're, it's just, dude, it's like night and day difference. Like from the person I was to the person I am. And it's not anything I've done. My ways went downhill, but what God did and Jesus did and the Holy Spirit did in my life is just, so I'm so thankful for it. And it's humbling, like it's humbling because like I know like my ways are bad, but with Jesus in my life, my ways can be good. I can the Holy Spirit can help me with things, so.
Well, tell me a little bit about your wife, if you don't mind, because that's an interesting story. What a heck of an origin story that you're going to tell your kids. And you have how old is your kid now?
He's like 7 months and a couple days.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
man.
yeah, he's doing great, man. Actually, he was born premature, so he was born like 2 months early. Like, so he was like 2 pounds, like 11 ounces when he was born. So he was a little guy, but thankfully, dude, he's fully healthy and he's growing quick, and he's just an amazing son, And
What's his name?
Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Yeah,
Nice,
it
man.
means God is salvation. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
And your wife, when did you guys get married?
July 11th, 2020.
All right. Yep. That's an important date to remember.
Yeah, right.
How long were you dating before that?
I don't remember exactly, maybe a year, but we knew, dude, she's so amazing. I mean, like I knew like, this is the lady I want to marry, like, this is the lady I want to be with forever. 'Cause she is really amazing. Just encourages me to continue my, my life with, leading with God, she's very encouraging with that, encourages me in all other ways. And just is very, very good. She's a very good person. So,
Man, and where are you working at now, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah. So currently, actually working at Heartland Granite and Quartz. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And that's how God works, dude. So like the first day we were back in Illinois, I went to see my dad, and where his warehouse was. We were leaving there. Me and Jenny we were leaving, and she's like, "Hey, there's a granite spot. Didn't you say that you worked with granite some back in North Carolina?" She didn't know the extent of the story then, but she does now. But I was like, yeah,
Or
I
she
worked.
at least will now.
Yeah, I worked there. I worked some granite. So I walked in and asked if they needed help, and the lady was like, yeah, we need help. So I started working like that next week, and started out just learning things, because they had like big machines, like CNC machines, like it was all like high tech stuff, and what I was used to is just like little hand tools, cutting slabs off the back of trucks, like it just all craziness. But then I kind of run the shop, like all the programming and stuff. Kind of supervise and train some people that are learning right now. But however, the 28th is my last day there. No, this coming Thursday is my last day there. The 28th I start at a job. I got a job with the town of Normal street division, so I'm gonna be working there. I'm very excited for that opportunity. It's kind of funny. I was telling Jenny the other day, I was like, I was living on the streets, and now I'm gonna be working on the streets. That's just how God works, dude, for real.
Man. Well, okay, so Jenny, that's your wife.
Yeah.
She sounds amazing. Congrats on your new child.
Thank you.
He sounds amazing as well, Isaiah. And I want to ask one more kind of a wrap-up question here, and it's a tough one. But looking back, man, what are some things that you're especially grateful for? Maybe experiences or people or things. There's probably a lot, but maybe you can name just a few.
Let's see here. Things I'm thankful for.
You could have been down in the dumps and let yourself just keep going that direction.
Right. Dude, honestly, I'm just most thankful for God, dude. That's the number one thing, of course, because I could be still there, still homeless, still addicted to drugs, or I could be worse. I could be dead. Like, many times I was overdosed to a point where I was blue, and many times like Narcan, like multiple times. Many times didn't even have Narcan, just somehow like woke up from, and I look down and my hands are blue and my face is blue, and I'm like, wow, what just happened? I'm thankful, like he saved me for a reason, and hopefully that reason is just to have a wonderful life with my family, and help others any way I can. Thankful for that. I'm thankful for of course my family. Like they've
You got a good family, that's
I
for
do.
sure, man.
Yeah, I do. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, your family's not good. They let you go through like living on the streets, being homeless." I'm like, honestly, they if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am today. For first of all, second of all, they couldn't do nothing about it. Like, they tried to help me. They tried many times to help me, and I was just like not having it. I wanted it to continue to ruin my life, essentially, But they were always there for me. They always had my back, and they never gave up on me. Of course, when I was going through these really hard times, they were just like, well, I guess they just hoped that I was going to change. Excuse me. And also they knew that enabling me wasn't good. Like, they didn't want to give me money to get an apartment because they knew I would spend the money on drugs, or they didn't want to let me live with them because they knew I would continue to do the drugs and continue my life how it was. But I had to go very, very low in my life in order to just to see the goodness that God provides, and to just see how bad off I was.
It's like when you lay a foundation, man, it's like you have to hit rock bottom, and that's where you build your foundation.
Well, rock bottom, and like my rock bottom was like below the rocks, for real. Like, it was bad, dude. And some stories, like, there's even some crazier stories that I'm not looking to share, but
sure, man. Well, that's really saying something given what you have shared.
Yeah. This is wild, dude. But yeah, I'm thankful for my family, thankful for God. Very thankful for my wife. She's a big part of who I am today. She's helped me in many ways, helped me grow in my faith, helped me to be a good husband and a good father, thankful for her, thankful for her family, thankful for all my friends and church members and pastors at my church, because without them, like like it's just another thing, like just believing in God didn't save me, but like learning about God and like learning about his grace, like, and about what that means, and learning about Jesus, and like that's where I was able to really work on myself, when I'm learning about that.
Man, dude.
Yeah. Who else am I thankful for? Everybody, I mean, my friends are still with me. Like some of them I don't get to talk to as much anymore, but I still like they're all still brothers to me, yeah, it's a good thing. I pray every morning for my friends and family to come to know God more and accept him and lean on him, because it's a saving grace, it saved me for sure. It turned me into a better person. I'm still very far from perfect, but at least I'm trying to be more like Jesus and less like myself, That's a good song too.
Well, dude, it is absolutely amazing looking at you right now while you're telling me these stories. I'm like, dude, how far you've come is extraordinary.
Yeah.
You're not only are you a nice guy. I mean, look, you're a young guy, you're a handsome guy, you're married, you've got a kid, you're doing things right. I mean, the way you speak, you're intelligent. It's incredible to think you were where you were not too long ago. Your story is just extraordinary, man. Talk about a story of perseverance. My fist has been clenched half of this show because it's just so intense and it's so inspiring and so moving, dude. I mean, especially knowing who you are just makes it that much more moving and touching. And I just want to say, like, thank you. First of all, I'm extremely proud of you, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Proud of me. I didn't do nothing, dude. Like, honestly, I don't deserve any of this, like, and none of us do, but like, it's just, once again, it's God, dude. Like, I didn't do nothing. What I did was ruin my life. Mm-hmm. But what I did do is start to lean on God and accept him and his son. That's what I did do, and I'm thankful for that. So
incredible, man. Well, Garrett Taylor, thank you so much for coming on to the show today and telling your story. What an incredible testimony that is. And again, just thank you. It's an honor to have you here.
Yeah, no problem. One other thing I was thinking I was going to do this morning. So this morning I was reading through my Bible, the book of Psalms, and Psalm 107. If you don't mind, I'm going to read part of it, because it was like it had my name all over it. I was like, dang, this is like pretty much me, Let's see here. Find it.
I'm excited. I'm interested. It's just Old Testament.
It's just shows God's love for even the low in life. Like he saves everybody, dude. Whoever wants to lean on him. It says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from trouble, and gathered in from the lands, from the east and from the west, and from the north and from the south. Some wandered in desert wastes, finding no way to a city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted within them. Then they cried to their Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He led them by a straight way till they reached a city to dwell in. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man, for he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things." So, yeah, I was reading that. I was like, I was going through the book of Psalms is like something if I have some time, I just flip through some of them and read them. And this morning I was reading through them. I saw this one. I was like, that's pretty good, So
dude, that is you to a T.
Yeah,
I mean, the hungry, steadfast love, lead them to a city that,
right,
oh my gosh.
So,
incredible stuff. Garrett Taylor, man. Again, thank you. That was
I appreciate
freaking
you,
awesome.
man. I appreciate you having me. It's this is obviously a pretty scary thing to do, and
you betcha. It's extremely vulnerable, and I respect you a lot for it.
I appreciate you, man. You're good at this, so thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. That was Garrett Taylor, and before we wrap up, I just want to say Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Paul Garcia Show. If you appreciate the episode, please give it a like, leave a comment, and give it a share as well. And if you appreciate this show, a fantastic and zero-cost way to support it is by subscribing to my page on YouTube and liking my page on Facebook and following me on Instagram. If you'd like to support this show's production financially, please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Paul Garcia, where you can get early access to each and every episode and have your name run across the screen at the beginning of every show for as little as $1 a month. And also, you can donate to my show on Venmo, any dollar amount, at the username, The Paul Garcia Show. Until next Sunday, I'm Paul Garcia. God bless and have a great week. Garrett, you're the man.
You're the man, bro. God's the man.
God's the man. Boom.